Can the blind lead the blind? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, on one hand, we've got IK, a murderess with more than enough screws loose to make you wonder if she has any business being a leader, and on the other hand, you have a bunch of vanity cranks and wannabes whose own lack of emotional development warrants a paper from Dr. Cartier. Because IK is still out there, confirmed by the delivery of another fresh-off-the-press clue along with a more personal message. See last week's episode for that gem. Meaning, yes, unfortunately, Ramon Ludo is not actually the image killer. I know it'll come as a shock to some of you, but hopefully not most of you. So can the blind lead the blind? Well, apparently they can. After listening to the latest message from IK, also known as our mystery guest, her following has only increased after this disturbing call to action, along with my daily dose of hate mail, which goes nicely into a spam folder, never to be seen again. Because with this dismal failure of the authorities in a ham-fisted attempt to wrap up this nasty chapter of serial killer history with a nice big bow, they let the real killer have a few weeks of unmolested free reign to do exactly as she wished. Normally when something goes wrong, we look to the higher-ups for help. The suits and uniforms from their ivory towers of podiums and microphones, news bulletins, and carefully prepared speeches that are typically written by an unpaid intern. Only now the authorities are sitting up there with egg, among other things, all over their faces, desperately trying to maintain the thought that they are in control of the situation, which brings me right back to the blind leading the blind. But can they do it? I'm Ben Robinson, and here's what we know. A new clue has surfaced on the web. It's there. There's no denying it, as much as some might try. It went up on the usual Instagram page. There's a link to that below if you haven't seen it, but it is out there. So click on that now. I want to make sure we're all on the same page. The clue itself is a $100 bill depicting the late Robert Borden with 2 holes punched through his eyes. His Sunday finest replaced with a wife beater and gold chain combo. Super classy. I believe I saw something like it at an art show once, minus of course the stabbed out eyes, but what does it mean? Let's break it down, shall we? First of all, it's money. So obviously, money is involved. This alone is not enough to narrow it down too much beyond a wealthy online personality, but it's still a good start. Next up, we have the wife beater or sleeveless undershirt, if that's not PC enough for some of you. So what does money, a wife beater, and a gold chain have in common? Well, it's pretty safe to say we're looking at a douchebag, and not a white-collar one at that. We are not looking at an investment fraudster kind of douchebag, although believe me, they're out there, and yes, they do move in herds. Nope, this is a trashy, lowbrow, more money than sense, more Rolexes than good deeds kind of a fellow. Someone who makes Logan and Jake look like Pope John Paul II and Michelle Obama. That's right, a vlogger is my guest for IK's target this week, and a financially well-endowed one at that. How did I get there? Well, it's the punched out eyes that do it. Seeing money through someone else's eyes. It is a bit on the nose, I admit, but our girl's been out of practice for a while, so let's not be too harsh on her first day back. So, recap. Punched out eyes, wife beater, gold chain, and a $100 bill. I believe we are looking at a rich asshole vlogger, someone who flaunts their money with a lack of respect that is downright disgusting. So who could it be? Well, like every other IK kill to date, I think it's safe to say that this one will be domestic. I checked out a few other possible foreign candidates, but it doesn't look like their travel plans are coinciding with the time frame, so they're out. So that narrows down our search quite a bit, but there's one more hint in the clue about who it could be, and brownie points to whoever managed to find it. And that is, who is the man on the $100 bill? Well, Robert Borden was the 8th Prime Minister of Canada. No, it's not related to politics, but with the new criteria of a first and last name, we land on a few more possibilities. First off, Robert Sheffield, aka Bowfangles, rich, entitled, and like all good douchebags, has a strong predilection for gold and diamonds. He doesn't rock the wife beater, but he does love his sleeveless hoodies. I could do an entire podcast on why that fashion trend deserves to die a quick and brutal death, but sadly I think that's beyond even IK's abilities. Now, Bowfangles has a habit of being a braggart, and a seriously bad one at that. See this expensive thing I just bought? It's actually nothing, it's garbage, but you thought it was great, didn't you? Yeah, he's that guy. Next up, we have Rudy Blot. He uses a moniker. Can you guess why? So, Rudy Blot, aka Roman Botak, not huge on the money avenue, at least not as big as the first whale, but still he scrapes out a very decent living as a pickup artist and coach, which keeps him knee-deep in tacky two-tone watches. Feel free to Google that, they are god-awful. Now here we have the initials tying him into the clue, and while he doesn't rock the wife beater per se, he does love his gold chain, especially when pumping out gym selfies, which he does at least twice daily. Now there aren't too many other options, a few Bordens here and there, plenty of Roberts, but no one who really stands out as much as these two fellas. And unlike previous episodes of the show, I will not be handing out a best guess, so Barteski, cool your jets. And that's all I've got, guys. Is IK back to wreak organized murder and mayhem on questionable individuals, or did we just happen to get another more talented copycat? That's not actually a question. It's definitely the first one. All right, that's it, guys. Good night.